in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and Amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt brighter but a cold icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts of Wales down into the West Country, Northern Ireland and also northern Scotland. So warnings remain in force for snow and ice. Temperatures really struggling, not rising much above freezing for much of the UK, some places staying below. Another very cold start on Tuesday, further snow and ice in places. A weather system bringing an organised mix of rain, sleet and snow into parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland as we head through the day. Best of the sunshine across central, southeastern parts of England, and staying cold into Wednesday as well. Perhaps becoming a little less cold as we head towards Thursday, but also wetter.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date.
£85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
I put in place the toughest checks we've ever had in the prison system.
can you believe it? A convicted murderer is at large in Britain tonight after two violent offenders just walked out of an open prison on New Year's Day and disappeared. How on earth has this happened? And the Islamist regime in Iran is facing its biggest series of protests in decades. Are we close to a Venezuela-style intervention? That's as Trump's warning Washington is locked and loaded and ready to intervene. Also,
we're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Make Venezuela great again. Those are the words of President Donald Trump as the USA sensationally captures former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. It sent leftists all over the world into complete meltdown, hasn't it? Also,
Prime Minister of this country says he's delighted to welcome somebody back who'd expressed those views. Are you sorry you did?
Well, of course I regret that.
More strong words from our Prime Minister as ever, eh? Well, Starmer has said he regrets welcoming British-Egyptian activist Alfata to the UK. But why will he just not deport the man? And a source close to the Sussexes says Prince Harry's armed security in the UK is guaranteed to be reinstated. Are you happy about your taxpayer money going to fund his security? Also, it's a story that just won't go away. West Midlands police are under fire again after claims they consulted controversial Birmingham mosques before barring Israeli fans from an Aston Villa Europa League match. And joining me to talk about all of this, I've got titans on my show tonight. Author and academic Dr. Lisa McKenzie, former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. This sent me into absolute meltdown. Have a look at this picture, right? Do you think he asked for Pierce Brosnan or Piers Morgan when he had that plastic surgery? I think one of them's Uncanny Valley. Listen, a huge 2 hours coming up. I've got titans on my show this evening. Your Sunday evening is just about to get started, but we're going to get your news headlines first with Aaron Armstrong.
Very good evening to you, just after 9 o'clock. Our headlines from the GB newsroom. Donald Trump says Venezuela's interim leader, Delcy Rodriguez, could pay a bigger price than captured President Nicolas Maduro if she doesn't comply with US demands. The former President Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores have been detained in New York after being captured yesterday. They're due to appear in a Manhattan court tomorrow. Venezuela's denounced the military aggression and the army says it backs Ms. Rodriguez. That contradicts President Trump's claim that the US will now run the country until a proper transition takes place. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio says America's not at war with Venezuela, and he's explained why the Trump administration didn't seek congressional approval for the military attack.
It wasn't necessary because this was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This was a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents, read his rights, and removed from the country. Obviously, this was not a friendly territory. So in order to arrest him, we had to ask the Department of War to become involved in this operation. The Department of War went in, they hit anything that was a threat to the agents that were going in to arrest him, and they hit anything that was a threat on the way out, and they hit anything that was a threat to them while they were on the ground. And that was a very limited and targeted operation.
Now, the bodies of all 40 victims of a bar fire in Switzerland on New Year's Day have been identified by police. Hundreds of mourners took to the streets of Crans-Montana on Sunday to remember those who died. The victims range in age from 14 to 39 years old. 15 of those killed were under the age of 18. And the group includes people from 7 different nationalities. A criminal investigation into the managers of the Constellation Bar is ongoing. A man who died trying to help 2 people in the sea off the East Yorkshire coast on Friday was trying to help a mother and her teenage daughter. Police have confirmed 45-year-old Sarah Keeling and her 15-year-old daughter Grace were involved in the tragic accident, alongside 67-year-old Mark Radcliffe, who entered the water at Withersea to help them. The bodies of Miss Keeling and Mr Radcliffe were recovered on Friday. Searches to locate Grace are still ongoing. Mr Radcliffe's family have paid tribute, saying Mark was a true selfless hero with a heart of gold who was cruelly trying to save others. Sir Keir Starmer says the UK is prepared to align even more closely with the EU single market if it's in the national interest. The Prime Minister insisted Britain should go further in strengthening post-Brexit ties with Brussels, following a trade deal agreed earlier this year. But he appeared to dismiss suggestions the UK should rejoin a customs union with the bloc after Health Secretary Wes Streeting said the arrangement would have enormous economic benefits. And it looks like the chilly weather is set to continue, and there could well be travel disruption tomorrow as many people return to work and school following the Christmas break. Amber warnings for more snow in northern Scotland have been issued, which could mean more scenes like this in Aberdeen. Up to 30 centimetres has been predicted for higher ground. Fresh snowfalls are also possible across England and Wales in the coming week, despite temperatures getting a little bit warmer. It didn't stop these golfers teeing off in Liverpool. And Northern Ireland might get some snow too, or some more snow, I should say. These children at Stormont Castle in Belfast look like they could use a little more. All of this, though, likely to lead to schools being shut, roads closed, flights cancelled, and some rural communities could be cut off. There's your headlines. I'll have more for you at 10 o'clock.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player, and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Well, it's time for the Islamist terrorist regime in Iran to finally fall. Now, these are unprecedented protests in Iran. Women are cutting off their hijabs, chants of death to Khamenei, their Islamist supreme leader, on the streets. Stuff you never would have believed would take place in Iran. And I want you to understand how truly oppressive, brutal and evil this regime is. In Iran, the state has sanctioned these things: stoning to death for adultery, execution for homosexual acts, beatings, detention and abuse of women for dress code violations under compulsory hijab laws, death or long prison sentences for insulting Islam, clerics or even the supreme leader, child marriage with girls legally able to marry at 13 years old or younger with additional judicial approval. This was not always the case in Iran. Before the Islamists seized power in 1979, Iran was a different country. Under the Shah, women had the right to vote. They entered the workforce in growing numbers. The Family Protection Act expanded women's rights, restricted polygamy, granted them divorce rights and banned child marriage. Universities, libraries and schools flourished. Men and women mixed freely together. And many of the images you've just seen are from pre-revolutionary Iran, and some are from my own stepfather, who grew up, of course, in Iran before the 1979 revolution. Iran was once the most progressive country in the Middle East. It was destroyed utterly when radical Islamists, helped by the socialist left, seized power. This is a warning to the left. The groups like Gays for Gaza, for example, that Islamism uses whilst quietly despising them and then gets rid of them when it seizes power. Well, today, Iranians are back on the streets in those unprecedented numbers. They've had enough. The economy is collapsing, inflation is rampant, and the currency has cratered. And the anger is directed now squarely at the regime itself. You saw in one of those clips the woman who cut off her hijab and was literally swinging it around in the streets. This is an act of defiance. The Iranian people are not going to be cowed by this regime for much longer. And as someone who's actually been to Iran, I can tell you this. Iranian people are not backwards. They are kind, intelligent, tolerant, and are so desperate for their country to change. Many of the people you saw in those pictures are still alive today. They want freedom. They want their country back, frankly. And here's the good news. If this Islamist regime in Iran falls, so do many other terrorist groups around the world. Groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group, and Ansar Allah, a Houthi group in Yemen. It would be a hammer blow towards Islamism around the world. While international pressure is also growing, the President of the United States has signalled that further mass killings of protesters will not go unanswered. He said that the USA is locked and loaded if those killings continue. And Ayatollah Khamenei has also been tweeting. He said, "We will bring the enemy to its knees." In his latest tweet, many say he's referring to the protesters against him, but he could also be referring to the USA. All I can say is this. After the removal of Nicolas Maduro, guess who's next? Ayatollah Khamenei, your time is up. I say you're next. And joining me now in the studio to talk about this is political analyst Younes Sadeghiani, who is an Iranian-born man himself. Younes, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Alex.
Let's perhaps start off by talking about what's happening in Iran right now.
Yeah, so before I answer your question, let me just tell you something that happened to me personally yesterday, because I was actually jumped by a group of 5 men outside the Iranian embassy. And these people were claiming to be pro-Pahlavi people. And they made up this story about me saying that I somehow swore at him or said some negative things, which is completely untrue. I've always supported Pahlavi, which is the official opposition to the Islamic Republic. However, it made me think. I was thinking to myself, there's no way these guys are actually pro-Pahlavi. There might be IRGC members...
Which is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Exactly. Right. Iranian Revolutionary Guard pretending to be pro-Pahlavis and then targeting people like me. And,
we do know that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard have actively tried to assassinate people in Britain. We're aware of that.
Like Puria Zarati.
Correct.
Yeah.
And on your case, we have contacted the Met Police, of course, and we know that it's an ongoing case at the moment, in this moment in time. So no significant arrests have been made yet, but we'll of course, keep the audience updated on that. And this is a common theme we see, isn't it, with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. All around the world, they push Islamism, they push their radical terrorism onto other countries, with Hezbollah, with Hamas. They're funding terrorism all around the world. But Iranian people in Iran are now standing up saying enough's enough.
Yeah, because Iranians are actually very open-minded people, and I think originally we're not even Muslim, we're Zoroastrian. The Persians are just very open-minded in general. They don't have the Arab culture even. So what's happening in Iran now, after 47 years of this totalitarian, theocratic Islamic extremist regime, people are just sick and tired because people just don't have water, they don't have electricity, they don't have gas. Iran is one of the richest countries in the world. In terms of GDP, they can be the top 5 GDPs in the world. Yet all that money is spent by the Islamic Republic on groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, destabilizing countries like this. And you know, Qatar and Iran, they share a gas field. And because there is sanctions on Iran, Qatar gets the check and then gives a check to Islamic Republic. So a lot of the infiltration that's happening by the Qataris actually traces back to the Islamic Republic. And I think they're the head of the snake. If the Islamic Republic of Iran falls, there will be peace in the Middle East, right? And at this moment in time, we have the official opposition, which is Shah Sadr Reza Pahlavi, which I completely support and I would like to completely get behind.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Yunus, we here at GB News and people watching at home will be wishing the Iranian people their best in their struggle to remove this. You can see the clips on your screen now. Honestly, it is really unprecedented what's happening in there. And I want to give my full support to the Iranian people and hope they can overthrow this dictator. I've got my other members of the panel here tonight, of course. Author and academic Dr. Lisa Mackenzie's joining me. Former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley's here, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Peter, I'll start with you, bring you into this conversation. Iran is what used to be the cradle of civilization for the entire world, and it's been captured by Islamist thugs, in my opinion. What do you make of the situation over there?
Well, the first thing that hugely irritates me is that matters many thousands of miles from Britain end up getting played out via violence on the streets of London, via what happened to Eunice yesterday. That kind of stuff really irritates me, and it's a very strong argument as to why we should be so careful who we let into this country. So moving on, Eunice, you're rampantly naive, my friend. I bow to your greater knowledge of Iran, of course, but getting rid of this leadership in Iran is not going to lead to peace in the Middle East as a blanket kind of nirvana that's suddenly going to appear,
it's going to
unfortunately.
Be very challenging. I agree with you, it's going to be very challenging, but you have to look at history before 1979 when the Shah was in power, and Shah was the police officer of the Middle East. There was no significant wars in the Middle East up until 1979. But then after 1979, two things happened, actually. Is when the Saudis kicked out all the Wahhabis, all the extremists, and they went to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Islamic Republic happened. So the Saudis managed to kind of externalize the extremism, kicked all those people out of their country, and then those people came to Iran and Afghanistan, Syria. That's what happened. And I think, look, it's not going to be easy. No one said it's going to be easy, but in terms of just looking at it from a geopolitical aspect, you have a country that's destabilized, that's very rich, by the way, very rich, and is spending all that money to destabilize the Middle East and by extension destabilize the West.
Of course. Oh, yeah, and we see evidence of that. But, of course, the extremism has got so entrenched in other countries now throughout the Middle East.
But this is
so it's not going to disappear overnight.
It's not going to disappear overnight, but let me just tell you one last thing. 60% of Iranians don't consider themselves Muslims anymore. I think Iranians are not radicals, and they're not even Sunni Muslims, they're Shia Muslims. But according to the latest statistics, as I said, majority of Iranians have said no to Islam, and they're actually our culture is originally Zoroastrian. So Islam, that was something imposed on us. So we have this common thing with Israel. Iranians and Israelis have this common thing in the Middle East where they don't feel like they fit in, you know? And that's what we're trying to do.
Adam, we've seen these protests play out, and I think there's a warning for Britain, isn't there? A warning that Iranians tell me time and time again that be careful of Islamism partnered with socialism because they are radical. They become even more radicalised and quite dangerous.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to say is I went football today with a group of friends who was in the car, spoke about Venezuela and Trump. And then I said, what about Iran? And the people in the car did not know what I was talking about. And the reason is because our mainstream media is not covering this like they should. This is a huge event in the Middle East. It should be headlines, it should be on rolling news, and it isn't. So there's a lot of people in Britain that are naive to the fact what's going on at the moment. What makes me laugh, really, with the left in this country, or some of the left in this country, they stay quiet when the killing or the oppression is via Islamic extremists. They don't want to stick up for women in Iran. They don't want to put their head above the parapet, right? Because it's not trendy. Palestine was trendy. Iran is not. Let's remember, this is a country with leaders that are threatening the West. They want death to America, death to Western culture. So, look, at the end of the day, it will be a great thing if the people really a democratic uprising can topple this regime and a stable government put in place. That would be good for the world.
Lisa?
Yeah, I've always had a lot of admiration for the Iranian people, just because of the culture that has come out of Iran. And watching the scenes, I am really frightened, actually, for those people, because they're doing this themselves. They're coming out of their houses, they're protesting, they're fighting against an absolutely horrific regime. And so, you know, the bravery that those people, you know, I think we've got to really sort of take our hats off to those people, but also know the danger that they are in. We should never underestimate the evil, especially of the Revolutionary Guard.
Exactly. I completely agree, and that's why I would really exercise some caution here, because, and I'm not being demeaning in any way, shape or form, so please don't think I am, but the burning of a few posters and the taking off of a few hijabs is not going to get rid of this religious, zealot, murderous regime that would shoot people dead rather than allow them to have a free voice.
What's it going to take, Younes, to topple the regime?
So I agree with you. It's not going to be able just for the people, because as I said, the people in Iran are hungry. They don't have enough water, they don't have enough electricity. So at some point they're going to run out of energy, right? So they can't do it by themselves, because we don't have freedom of speech in Iran. You get shot if you go and protest. So would you take that risk if you knew there was a chance like someone would sniper you? So we need international support. What is international support? Exactly what Israel done during the 12-day war. Strategic striking of nuclear facilities, military facilities, IRGC members, and also having a viable opposition that can come and take over charge. It's not going to be easy. Iran's probably going to be in transition for the next 2 to 3 years. But in 2 to 3 years, then people can have a referendum of what kind of a leader they want, what kind of a government that they want, and whatever is going to happen.
A final question to you then, Younes. Would you welcome the support of President Trump, who said Washington's locked and loaded? He said if more civilians die, they're going to get involved. Would you welcome that?
I 100% welcome that, and I wish the UK had a leader like that, unfortunately. We have one like Nigel Farage, but unfortunately, we didn't have a leader like this up until Trump. And I think it was the Democrats that actually caused the revolution in 1979 with President Carter. And Donald Trump is saying, he's giving the confidence to Iranians that they didn't have for the last 47 years, because they didn't have any support, saying, you go and protest, we will look after you. Like, in the back of your mind, that must give you so much courage to say, you know, America is going to come behind you. And it's going to put shiver in the boots of those that...
And this will send the lefties into meltdown, but what we need is some good old CIA insurgents funding and supplying of weapons and all of that.
What we're underestimating here, these protests are nearly in every town and city throughout Iran. If some from the army defect or refuse to go against the people, the police refuse to go against the people, this could rapidly escalate the situation. Iran is in lockdown, really, at the moment. Nothing can happen. But if those authorities refuse to go against their own people, this will accelerate it, and I think we could see it within days or weeks.
Well, listen, we'll keep you updated on this story here at GB News. Of course, we are always dedicated to telling the truth here and telling it as it is. Younes, thank you very much. Brave of you to come on tonight. I really appreciate it, and our best of luck to the Iranian people. I am very much behind you, at least. There you go. Time now for a Great British giveaway, and 2026 could be on us. It's an 85 grand giveaway. It's like having 7 grand a month in your bank. Here's Hayley Sparks with all the details.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village, or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, sources close to the Sussexes say Harry and his family are set to regain police protection upon their return to the UK. But next,
we're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
well, after the successful operation to depose and capture Venezuela's ex-president Nicolas Maduro, many are praising Trump for his strength and decisiveness. However, some critics say this will have a devastating effect on, you guessed it, international law. Oh, spare me the tears. That will be our debate next. This is Alex Armstrong tonight on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, it's, of course, the story that's still on everyone's lips. And what a way to start 2026. It all started when crashing sounds were heard over the capital city of Venezuela, Caracas. And soon, the deposed Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro was on a plane and in US custody. Some reports say it only took them 6.5 minutes to extract the president of Venezuela, the former, should I say. The issue has sparked intense debate, hasn't it, with supporters praising praising Trump's decisiveness and straightforward approach to protecting US interests, whilst his critics on the left have called for the US administration, called them out basically, for the unilateral approach and implications this has on international law. Anyway, so was he right? Well, are they right? And was Trump right? And I'm now joined by Republican strategist Matthew Hurt and political strategist Pablo Ohana. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Matthew, I'll start with you. I can kind of guess where I think you're going to sit on this, but this was very decisive from Donald Trump. Was it a break, though, with his MAGA right, you want America first, and was he breaking international law?
You know, Alex, this is Monroe Doctrine in the present day. The President Donald Trump, protecting and defending the Western Hemisphere from Russia, from China, from Iran, and from narco-authoritarians like Nicolas Maduro. An excellent win as a law enforcement action in Venezuela. And the question for leftists who are shedding tears for Nicolas Maduro today is, what good is international law if it props up dictators and despots who have enslaved and subjugated millions of people and forced even millions more to flee their homes to seek refuge in places like the United States?
Indeed, yeah. Pablo, the President of the United States, has received a lot of backlash, but Matthew makes a good point. What is the point of international law if it doesn't remove people like Maduro, if it doesn't remove the mullahs in Iran? We just allow these countries to become hellholes for the people starving to death. Surely we should praise Donald Trump for being decisive here.
Listen, I'm not shedding any tears for Maduro. He's a criminal dictator. There's no doubt about that. But let's be really clear about what this is about, and this is about Trump getting his hands on more oil. If Trump really cared about dictators and fascists, he'd be working with the United Kingdom and Europe to arm and defend Ukraine to ensure victory against Putin's illegal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Trump has promised America would be out of all wars. He'd have Ukraine solved in 24 hours, peace in the Middle East, and here we are. The pattern is big boasts, blurred legal lines, and escalation. Venezuela is just the latest example of that.
Pablo, I mean, you know, America is giving billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine to fund the war against Putin. In terms of oil, America sits on some massive oil fields. It doesn't really need it. And I would say, putting this back to you, Matthew, this is a massive attack actually on a Western adversary, which is China. China had a delegation there the day before Maduro was extracted. Is that welcome news for the West?
You know, the interesting thing about the war for oil argument, and it's the same argument the left used against the invasion of Iraq, which I opposed. This in Venezuela is a police action that, as you said, Alex, took 6.5 minutes. It's very exciting, particularly in the Western Hemisphere, that we are able to expel the proxies of Russia, of China, of Iran, who are destabilizing Central and South America. This is a very dangerous course of action for the far left, for authoritarians, for the communist Chinese, and it's an action that took about 6.5 minutes. Now, the future of Venezuela is now, or will be, in the hands of the Venezuelan people as the second, one of the most productive countries in the world prior to the election of Hugo Chavez. The Venezuelan people owe it to themselves and owe it to the world to ascend back to their rightful place in history in the Western Hemisphere. Pablo, what do you make of that?
You don't have to look far back to see that no one has won by removing a leader by force. Listen, as I say, Maduro is a thug. Venezuela deserves a democracy, as every country in the world does. But Trump sort of sending in commandos to snatch a foreign leader. We've seen Iraq, we've seen Afghanistan. That isn't what happens. The catastrophe that has left behind has not been a stable and strong democracy. And this is where US diplomacy keeps collapsing. They go in, they remove a leader by force, and then they're just left to clean up the mess afterwards. That is not what diplomacy is. And a foreign leader without legal authority is not strength. It's setting a dangerous precedent here. If we cheer this on, we're supporting a world where the rules don't protect anyone, least of all the UK. We're a small country and we need international law to protect us as a small country as well as our allies.
Yeah, I put this on the international law argument, and I understand it. I studied it, and I do understand international law. However, it is proven time and time again, Pablo, to be completely toothless. The UN resolves nothing. Nothing changes. Wars happen all the time. People are dying in countries around the world, and we're told only when someone actually starts slaughtering people that we're allowed to finally intervene. Surely this has averted a massive crisis in Venezuela that's been suffering for a very long time. Maduro is torturing people. There are are surely got to be exceptions where international law just doesn't work. It doesn't actually help people, it just hinders people. We're seeing this in Iran too.
You can't have a rule where just might makes right. You can't just invade other countries and take out their leaders. That is what we've seen with Putin's invasion of Ukraine, and that is not right either. You can't just go in and take somebody out. You have to have international law that says this is what we all adhere to. Otherwise, as I say, countries like us, I mean, I love our country. I am the biggest patriot you'll find. I think we're the greatest country in the world, but we are tiny. We are very, very small on the global stage, and we can't just have countries invading each other without any consequences.
Okay.
There has to be a law and a sort of rule that everybody follows, and we have to draw a line and say, I'm sorry, this country needs a democracy, absolutely, and as I say, I'm not defending the leader there, but you can't just go in and take somebody out and have no repercussions for that whatsoever.
Okay, Matthew, very briefly, final remarks, please.
You know, Pablo is welcome to have that opinion from within the confines of a democratically elected government. In 2024, the people of Venezuela went to the polls and voted, and they made their voices heard, and that election was ignored and discarded by an illegitimate president named Nicolas Maduro, and President Donald Trump took decisive action to change that outcome.
But
Fantastic
if Trump cares so much about
Pablo, I'm sorry, I've got to leave it there. Pablo, I'm sorry, we've run out of time. Matthew Hurt, Pablo Ahana, thank you very much, gentlemen, for a good debate. Coming up, it's been revealed that the West Midlands police consulted with mosques who'd hosted anti-Semitic preachers in the lead-up to the decision to ban Maccabi fans from Villa Park Stadium. But next, it's been rumoured that Prince Harry and his family have been given police protection upon their return to the UK. Do you think the Sussexes should be entitled to taxpayer-funded security? We're talking about that next on Alex Armstrong's The Night.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. Temperatures above average across parts of Greece at the moment, but still some heavy showers and thunderstorms across parts of Spain. Also down towards the Canary Islands, Madeira, seeing some strong winds and showery rain too. Rain falling as snow over the mountains across parts of Spain, across into Italy as well. Further rain here around the coast. Temperatures around 12 or 13 Celsius. Something a little drier towards Greece there, and temperatures above average, and it remains so here for the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast, and it's staying cold over the next few days. Very cold tonight with widespread frost and ice and further snow in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt brighter, but a cold, icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England, down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day, we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts of Wales, down into the West Country, Northern Ireland, and also northern Scotland. So warnings remain in force for snow and ice. Temperatures really struggling, not rising much above freezing for much of the UK, some places staying below. Another very cold start on Tuesday, further snow and ice in places. A weather system bringing an organised mix of rain, sleet and snow into parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland as we head through the day. Best of the sunshine across central, southeastern parts of England, and staying cold into Wednesday as well. Perhaps becoming a little less cold as we head towards Thursday, but also wetter.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Well, Prince Harry set to regain armed police protection in the UK, according to a source close to the Sussexes. That's after a fresh security review by the Royal and VIP Executive Committee. Insiders say the reassessment by RAVEC, which brings together the Home Office, Met Police and Royal Household, has effectively cleared the way for reinstating his security, with one source claiming it was now a formality. Well, the move followed a personal letter from the Duke to Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, though neither the government or the family have publicly confirmed the decision. Well, of course, there's no one else I'd rather talk to about these stories than someone who knows best. It's the editor-at-large for the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining me, as ever. What's the truth here? Is this nonsense we're hearing, or is this very likely to happen? We have obviously heard his appeal has been successful, but is there more going on here than meets the eye?
Well, he is quietly optimistic, so that's what I was told. But also I was told that it's been indicated to his camp that the review that's going on right now is just a formality to kind of save face, because they've refused and refused and refused since 2019. Then he wrote to Shabana Mahmood, having been completely, once and for all refused in May. And the Home Office did a U-turn and said, OK, we will review it. And what his camp think is that this is a formality to save face so they can just give it to him once and for all, but look like they've gone through the proper procedure. At least that's their interpretation. Whether or not it's nonsense or not, I don't think it is. I think actually they are taking it quite seriously, because let's not forget, when he came over in September, he was nearly attacked or approached by a stalker, and there was absolutely no security around him, and it fell to a civilian to kind of block her approaching him.
And Charlotte, how would this go down with the royal household?
Well, it's an interesting one. I think the Prince William arm of the royal household will be not very impressed. Who knows what the king thinks, because the king wants to meet his grandchildren. So I think he actually would be quite open to meeting Harry's demands. I think there's certainly a part of King Charles's arm of the family that kind of roll their eyes that this has become such an obsession for him. But from what I'm hearing, the kind of threats he has been getting are pretty bad, and no father would want to read those kind of threats on paper about their son. Obviously, he has been very kind of against it up until now. But when he was assessed in 2019, Prince Harry, he was considered the highest risk category there is to have. Some would say it's his own making, because he has made comments about Afghanistan, the Taliban, and his role in the war in Afghanistan. But, the threat still exists one way or another. And he believes strongly that he can't come over to the UK to introduce his two children to his father without the security. And I just think there's a part of the royal family now, what with the king having cancer and everything, that just may have shrugged their shoulders behind the scenes and said, OK, fine, let's give him some kind of specialist police protection when he comes to the UK.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I'm a little bit torn on this myself, Charlotte, if I'm being honest with you, because on one hand, I wouldn't want to see anything happen to him. Obviously, he is a member of our royal family and he is a prince of the realm. And on the other hand, I feel like he's burnt so many bridges with the British public. People would be looking at their taxpayer money going, should I really be funding a man who's turned our back on us, whose wife's turned his back on us? But there we go. That's that. Editor-at-large for the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, thank you so much for joining us. As ever, what a pleasure. I've got my panel here to talk about this too. Adam Brooks, I'll start with you. Would you be happy paying for Prince Harry to come back to Britain?
Absolutely not. I think he should pay his own security bill. He sold out to Netflix for hundreds of millions of pounds. These people are very, very well off. He chose to embarrass the royal family, and I think really put the final nail in the coffin with the popularity of the royal family around the world. Yeah, it's my opinion that he's put himself in danger with the comments that I think he said he killed 25 Taliban members while on duty.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of army officials and colleagues from his past have said he should never have revealed that. You know, so he's put himself in the firing line. He's got hundreds of millions in the bank. He can pay for it himself.
What do you think, Peter? Former copper, do you think we should be protecting him? Should we be paying for it?
Well, if he was to pay for any security himself, it wouldn't be armed, because it would be the private sector, and they're not allowed to carry guns in the UK. So it's quite obvious that he actually remains the King's son, and when he comes to the UK, he should have full armed protection. I know he's made many, many mistakes, some of which are very unpalatable, but I believe in giving people second chances. And as a father of 3 boys, we went to football today, the 4 of us, and I took them all out for lunch. The thought of all or any of my boys having a fallout amongst themselves or with me would break my heart to the point that it would never mend. Nothing is more important. I think the King, the Prince of Wales, and Harry ought to actually think what is important in life and stop putting their public roles first and actually sort out their relationship. And nothing, well, it would make me extremely happy if those 3 men got together, buried their past, settled their differences, embraced, had a drink, and all moved on. It would benefit them and be better for the monarchy.
Well, I'm an anarchist, so you know I want to get rid of all of them. You know, just
how? Machine gun?
Well, no, I don't want to do that.
Good.
I wouldn't mind them all going to America. I've had this idea for a long time that they could go and live in the Disney castle, do some waving. People could pay to go and see them. You know, we've just got rid of one wrong un, and another one pops up.
We're losing enough of our British heritage and our culture as it is. The royal family, like it or not, is part of Britain. You know, I love the Queen because I used to sit there and watch the Queen with my nan. I don't like the King. I don't like how Harry has behaved. I would never want to see anything happen to that boy. But he is a very, very wealthy man. And as Peter said, yes, the police have to carry guns. Well, bill the royal family, bill Harry. Let him pay that bill while he's over.
But then you're making armed close protection from the Met for hire service. You see, and if you do it for him,
a royal family member.
But then you'll have some megastar from America coming over and say, you know that lot that Harry hired, I want to hire them as well.
But they're not royals. So look, we can make an adjustment.
Listen, we've got to leave it. It's a really interesting debate. Well, I'm sure we'll have it more as this appeal that Harry's going through gets more airtime. So we'll have this debate again. Fascinating stuff.
We should have a poll, Alex.
Yeah, maybe we should do a poll. We'll do that next week. How about that? But coming up, there is a murderer on the loose in Britain. Is this just an awful reflection of how broken our justice system is? But next. Well, West Midlands police are under fire after claims they consulted controversial Birmingham mosques before barring Israeli fans from an Aston Villa Europa League match. That's next.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
More madness in Britain. West Midlands police are facing a backlash over claims they consulted controversial Birmingham mosques before blocking Israeli fans to an Aston Villa Europa League match. 3 of the 8 mosques consulted by police had previously hosted preachers accused of anti-Semitism, including Al Habib Mosque, where a speaker promoted the protocols of the Elders of Zion, which claims Jews are plotting global domination. Well, Police Chief Craig Guilford acknowledged there was no documented feedback from Jewish representatives who had supported the ban, but still maintained there were some Jewish individuals who had voiced support for it. Well, I'm now joined by former government advisor for political violence and disruption, Lord Walney. Lord Walney, thank you very much for joining me. This story will not go away. Do West Midlands Police have a lot to answer for here?
They certainly do. This is just the latest in a growing series of ways in which the West Midlands Police fell far short of their duty, which was to police fairly and to follow the evidence, not fabricate evidence, and not end up consulting these deeply controversial mosques with records of extremism, as the Sunday Telegraph has set out in its investigation today. I think you have to look at this fiasco in its totality and think, how can the Chief Constable's position possibly be sustainable now? It's deeply serious for community relations in Birmingham, but it reflects very poorly on the UK as a nation in the way that the Israeli fans were determinedly banned by a process which is just simply not standing up to the scrutiny which has been placed on it.
Lord Warney, briefly, if you don't mind, should the constable resign? Should Craig Guilford resign? I think I'm getting his name right. I beg your pardon if I've got that wrong.
I think the Chief Constable's position is untenable now. There has been so much evidence that this process has used fabricated evidence. It's consulted inappropriate organisations. They clearly at one point seemed to use AI and ended up submitting evidence which contained fictitious football matches. They made this decision beforehand and have sought to cover themselves, but actually, as is so often the case, the cover-up is a bigger problem than the mistake itself.
Certainly is. Lord Warnley, thank you so much for joining me to talk about this topic. I really appreciate it. And we've also got an expert here with me on the panel, Peter Blexley. What do you make of this story, Peter? It won't go away for the West Midlands Police, will it?
No, there's an expression in policing. If it wasn't written down, it didn't happen. OK? And senior police officers have to make decision logs, all of them, all ranks up to Chief Constable. So he's Craig Guilford, the Chief Constable of West Midlands, is in front of a parliamentary committee on Tuesday. If he's properly cross-examined, and if the truth is all exposed in all its ugliness, he should be out on his ear by tea time.
Fingers crossed. That's my opinion, Peter. Adam, briefly, what do you think?
I think we're living in two-tier Britain. There is one way of policing Muslim communities and another way of policing other communities. They're scared. The authorities are scared. We see that during the riots of 2024. Police officers asked Muslim groups to put their weapons back in a mosque. Would they ask the other side to do that? No, they wouldn't. We've got a proper problem, two-tier Prime Minister, judiciary and policing.
Thoughts in 5 seconds, Lisa?
Just that, you know, this was an international incident, international football team, and the police need to be absolutely accountable on this.
OK. Very good. Spokesperson for West Midlands Police previously said West Midlands Police evaluation was based primarily on information and intelligence and had public safety at its heart. We met with Dutch police on October 1st where information relating to that 2024 fixture was shared with us. We're satisfied that the policing strategy and operational plan was effective, proportionate and maintained the city's reputation as a safe and welcoming place for everyone. No public statement from Al Habib Mosque has been reported clarifying its position on the allegations about hosting that particular preacher, and we will update you going forward. All right, coming up, Starmer says he regrets welcoming the British Egyptian activist to the UK. But next, murderer is on the loose. More egg on David Lammy's face. That's next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast, and it's staying cold over the next few days. Very cold tonight with widespread frost and ice and further snow in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and Amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt brighter, but a cold, icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England, down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day, we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts of Wales, down into the West Country, Northern Ireland, and also northern Scotland. So warnings remain in force for snow and ice. Temperatures really struggling, not rising much above freezing for much of the UK, some places staying below. Another very cold start on Tuesday, further snow and ice in places. A weather system bringing an organised mix of rain, sleet and snow into parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland as we head through the day. Best of the sunshine across central, southeastern parts of England, and staying cold into Wednesday as well. Perhaps becoming a little less cold as we head towards Thursday, but also wetter.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
From the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland. We're on an amazing Arctic adventure to celebrate our greatest cash giveaway, a simply stunning £85,000. And in 2026, we're giving you the chance to win it all.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dormy, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
It's 10 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight on the show,
I put in place the toughest checks we've ever had in the prison system.
how's that going, David? Well, a convicted murderer is at large in Britain tonight after two violent offenders walked out of an open prison on New Year's Day and just disappeared. How on earth has this happened? Also,
we're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Is Donald Trump going to make Venezuela great again? Those are the words of the president as the USA sensationally captures former Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro. It has sent the leftists all over the world into complete meltdown, hasn't it? Also,
Prime Minister of this country says he's delighted to welcome somebody back who'd expressed those views. Are you sorry you did?
Well, of course I regret that.
Well, Keir Starmer seems to admit he regrets welcoming Alfata to the UK. But why won't he just deport the man? And a source close to the Sussexes says Prince Harry's armed security in the UK is guaranteed to be reinstated. Are you happy giving your taxpayer money to fund his security? And the front pages are dropping as we speak. The Independent: we are not at war, the US insists, as it claims control of Venezuela. And in the Telegraph, Trump sets sight on Greenland. Is that the next one? Oh, well, we'll see. And I've got my brilliant panel titans on the show tonight. Author and academic Dr. Lisa McKenzie, former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. What a show. I had to show you this. It caught my eye, was creasing up earlier on. What do you think this bloke looks like? Pierce Brosnan or Pierce Morgan? Well, this guy, I'll tell you about this story later on, actually, but listen, huge 2 hours coming up first. Of course, we're going to get your news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you very much, Alex. Good evening to you. 2 minutes past 10 the time. Donald Trump says Venezuela's interim leader, Delcy Rodriguez, could face a fate worse than that of deposed President Nicolas Maduro, unless she complies with his wishes. Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores were captured and detained on drugs and weapons charges yesterday following a military operation. Venezuela has denounced the aggression, and the army says it backs Ms. Rodriguez. It contradicts President Trump's claim that the US would now run the country until a proper transition takes place. He also said the US would be heavily involved in Venezuela's oil industry. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio insists the intervention, which is thought to have killed around 80 people, including civilians, does not mean the US is at war with Venezuela, and he says the Trump administration didn't need congressional approval.
It wasn't necessary because this was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This was a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents, read his rights, and removed from the country. Obviously, this was not a friendly territory. So in order to arrest him, we had to ask the Department of War to become involved in this operation. The Department of War went in, they hit anything that was a threat to the agents that were going in to arrest him, and they hit anything that was a threat on the way out, and they hit anything that was a threat to them while they were on the ground. And that was a very limited and targeted operation.
The bodies of all 40 victims of a bar fire in Switzerland on New Year's Day have been identified by police. Hundreds of mourners took to the streets of Crans-Montana on Sunday to remember those who died. And the victims range in age from 14 to 39 years old. 15 of those killed were aged under 18. The group includes people from 7 different nationalities. A criminal investigation into the managers of the Constellation Bar is ongoing. Sir Keir Starmer says the UK is prepared to align even more closely with the EU single market if it's in the national interest. The Prime Minister insists Britain should go further in strengthening post-Brexit ties with Brussels, following a trade deal agreed earlier this year. But he appeared to dismiss suggestions the UK should rejoin a customs union with the bloc after his Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, said the arrangement had enormous economic benefits. A man's been charged with escaping from prison on New Year's Day, while 2 others remain at large. Police are still trying to locate the convicted murderer, Matthew Armstrong, on the left of your picture, who is 40, and 35-year-old Daniel Washburn, who are thought to have absconded from HMP Leyhill in South Gloucestershire on Thursday. 39-year-old Aaron Thomas is back in custody after his arrest in Bristol on Saturday. A man who died trying to help 2 people in the sea off the East Yorkshire coast on Friday was trying to rescue a mother and her teenage daughter. Police have confirmed 45-year-old Sarah Keeling and 15-year-old Grace were involved in a tragic incident alongside 67-year-old Mark Ratcliffe, who entered the water at Withensea to help them. And the bodies of Miss Keeling and Mr. Ratcliffe were recovered on Friday. Searches to locate Grace are still ongoing. Mr. Ratcliffe's family have paid tribute, saying he was a true selfless hero with a heart of gold, cruelly taken, trying to save others. And King Charles has paid tribute to the Holocaust survivor Eva Schloss, who's died at the age of 96. Mrs. Schloss was the co-founder and honorary president of the trust set up in memory of her stepsister Anne Frank, which Queen Camilla is patron of. The King said the horrors she endured are impossible to comprehend, and yet she devoted the rest of her life to overcoming hatred and prejudice and promoting kindness, courage, understanding and resilience through her tireless work. And those are your headlines. I'll have another bulletin for you coming up at 11 o'clock.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
A murderer is on the run in Britain tonight. In fact, 2 violent offenders walked out of an open prison on New Year's Day and just vanished. One is a convicted murderer, and the other has a history of serious violence. Well, police have warned the public not to approach these men, and a nationwide manhunt is apparently underway. Well, thank God We have a competent and tough Justice Secretary who we can all be sure will crack down on this. Well, here is David Lammy just last month confirming there were 2 violent people he was aware of that had been released in error.
There have been releases in error since I made that statement, but I want to convey that the trend this year is fortunately downwards.
Can you give me a number on how many?
2.
There's been 2.
There have been 2.
Well, that's a picture of confidence, isn't it? Well, record numbers of inmates have been released in error under his watch. 262 in the year to March 2025 alone. That's a 128% spike from the previous year.
I put in place the toughest checks we've ever had in the prison system. I'm the Justice Secretary, that's why I'm at the dispatch box, also as Deputy Prime Minister. We know that. We've deported more in the last year than they deported in the last 5 years. Please, I'm not going to take any lecture from the Honourable Gentleman. 13,000 more bobbies we are putting on the streets, kicking out 5,000 foreign criminal offenders. I've got to say to the Honourable Gentleman, he should do better.
That's been a little bit too defensive there, David. That's been months ago, by the way, where Lammy lost his cool while being pressured on the numbers of people released from prison by accident under his watch. And now, how are these tough new reforms going, do you think? Oh, that's right, a murderer is on the loose. Great work, David. Fantastic stuff. Those tough new reforms are clearly going down a treat. And the reality is that this isn't some Hollywood prison break you might be thinking it is. These dangerous men were placed in an open prison because some moron in the justice system decided they were safe and low risk and ready to be trusted. Let me just repeat that for you. Someone in the justice system thought a murderer was low enough risk to be put in an open prison. As far as we know, there are between 7 and 10 dangerous criminals on the loose. Here's some of them. Ola Amibola, who absconded from HMP Ford on October the 10th, 2025. He was convicted of kidnapping, GBH and possession of an offensive weapon. Mahad Elmi, who absconded from HMP Spring Hill on Christmas Day. His crimes are not specified. Matthew Armstrong absconded from HMP Leyhill on January the 1st, 2026. He was convicted of murder. Daniel Washbourne absconded from HMP Leyhill January 1st, 2026, convicted of violence against a person and false imprisonment. And reports between November and December 2025 indicate there are 3 to 6 prisoners accidentally released and might still be at large. This is an unending disaster, isn't it? What on earth is happening in David Lammy's Justice Department? Is he too busy instructing his civil servants to only refer to him as Deputy Prime Minister rather than getting on with his job? This is the same Justice Department, by the way, that wants to strip away the right for a jury for offences for under 3 years and also get rid of the right for automatic appeal. Both changes will probably lead to more people being locked up, all while we can't even keep the criminals inside the prison system in the first place, can we? It is nuts. It's totally insane. It's pure negligence. It's incompetence of the highest degree. And at this point, I simply don't think any of them sitting in our highest office, our highest political offices, are even capable of managing the basic functions of our democracy. Britain has just become a complete circus and a laughingstock. I've got a fantastic panel to talk about this. Dr. Lisa Mackenzie's on the panel tonight. I've got former Met Police Detective Peter Blexley and businessman and activist Adam Brooks. Peter, I've got to start with you. This is utterly nuts. What is happening in Britain?
3 things, and I'll be quick. Number 1, if you see any of those men, don't approach them, ring 999. The streets are dangerous enough as it is. Don't put yourself at any further risk. Secondly, as has clearly been shown very recently, David Lammy is a useless windbag, right? Thirdly, 9 million people voted for Labour, didn't they, to get the lamentable Tories out. And what we promised, change. What a sad, sorry state, because this government has turned out to be one of the most shambolic in history, and they have to go, and they have to go very soon.
Lisa?
You know what I think? I think you hit the nail on the head here. They're not interested. This is not sexy politics, is it? Prisons, locking people up, making sure that they are where they're supposed to be. This is bread and butter politics. It's down in community politics. This government does not want to do that. They want to ponce about on the international stage and shake hands with other international people. They are not interested in the everyday politics of Britain, and this is what's happening. It's happening in every sector.
Adam, Labour, the government would argue this. They would say that they inherited the mess from the Tories, who didn't build new prisons, left the justice system in a state. What do you make of that argument?
There is truth to that. The Tories' record is abysmal. But what Labour are doing, and what they have done in 18 months, has turbocharged the destruction of this country. Women and children are being sexually assaulted and attacked at record levels. They're releasing violent women beaters after just 40% of their sentences. That's madness. And then we've got people being wrongly released or escaping. The average used to be about 60 a year up until 2023. This is 262. I can see why the conspiracy theorists out there think they're doing it on purpose, because you cannot be this bad at your job. You cannot, you just cannot be this bad. I'm sorry, it is a joke.
Do you think the Tories have got something to answer for on this?
They have. Look, we need to build prisons. Of course we need to build prisons. We need to stop incarcerating people that say hurty things on the internet. You know, every time I do a tweet or a social media post, I'm thinking, you know, is Starmer's stormtroopers looking at me on this? That's not how we should live. We should put the people that are walking around with machetes. People are getting caught twice with machetes and getting suspended sentences.
And arrests.
Come on.
The probation service was absolutely smashed to bits under the Tories as well. So that's another part of this criminal justice system that's now disintegrated.
But this lot,
well, they privatised it to start with.
Yeah.
The whole criminal justice system, from policing at the front, through to the CPS, then to the courts, then to the jails, then to probation, the whole system is a wreck. Yeah. It's underperforming, and consequently, we are all of us, everyone in this building, every member of the audience, we are all in a bit more danger because of it.
How difficult is it to arrest someone who's escaped from prison, Peter? Because this will go down inevitably down to the police, won't it? The police will have to start a manhunt. You're looking for a needle in a haystack, aren't you?
Yeah, and they won't thank the prison service for it either, because they'll say, we've got enough on our plate. Oh, here we go again. We've got to go after somebody else. It's all a matter of resources. You know, virtually any crime can be solved and any prisoner can be caught, depending upon the resources you're allowed to deploy to it. This is why I find it so frustrating that so many crimes are just not investigated by the police.
Is it a funding thing?
Not investigated at all. Well, they say they're too busy, and they say they've got other priorities. Well, you try telling that to somebody who's had their bike nicked, that they travel to work on each and every day, to and from. You try telling that to somebody who's had their phone snatched, and we live our lives on our phones these days. We rely on them for banking and for work and so much.
Everything's on your phone now, isn't
Someone who has their car stolen, someone who has the tools nicked out the van, someone who has their house burgled. All very serious matters, and in all likelihood, the police aren't going to even investigate
If I
it.
say something
And
hateful...
shame on them for that.
If I say something hateful on this show tonight, I won't, but if I did, or on my social media, I'd be getting a knock on the door probably tomorrow. So our priorities have completely been lost. Common sense has been lost.
That's the point, isn't it? The priority. It's that what is now being prioritised in Britain. You know, we're going to talk about Starmer's priorities later on. But again, this is a matter of priority. What does this government, what do these people at the top of, you know, politics, what do they...
And policing.
And policing, what do they understand about the British public?
Zilch.
And that's why their priorities are not the same as ours.
Yeah.
We were just speaking about this Maccabi situation in West Midlands Police a little bit earlier on, Peter, and I think this is an absolutely shocking indictment. In my opinion, I feel like they're trying to cover something up here. I think they've made false evidence, so they would, of course, disagree with me quite strongly, as they have done previously. But there seems to be something going on in the police force, and I can't pinpoint at what it is, because I'm not an expert. What do you think's gone wrong in it?
They're captured. Senior policing is captured. They've all gone off to university. mercy and come back with their heads full of left-wing ideology and claptrap, which has got very little relevance to policing, and they're captured. And they're also, as Adam pointed out earlier, they're scared of the Muslim population because they know they're outnumbered, and if they were to rise up, the police don't want to have that kind of conflict. They'll find 7,000 coppers to police Notting Hill Carnival.
Yeah.
They'll turn out 6,000 when there's protests deemed to be far right following Southport, right? But stand up to a Muslim population that they really don't want to upset. No, senior policing, captured, woke, left, liberal, useless.
We've also got to remember the next election could be fought between the Greens and Reform.
Yeah.
You've got the Green Party that want to legalise crack cocaine and heroin on the streets of Britain. It's
crazy.
Can you imagine the crimes that will be happening when we have people high on crack cocaine, high on heroin, walking about amongst our women and our children?
They already are. I mean, you're talking about every city in the country now. And I think, again, this is where we are, isn't it? This is about people who don't live on council estates with a crack house next door to you. I have lived in that house next door to a crack house. And you know what? Working class people in this country do not want to live like that.
Of course they
No, of course they don't. Nobody should have to. But the thing is, police do not prioritise that, so they're not going to come down on it. I actually, if I had a 3-hour show, I would tell you my arguments for legalising and regulating. Never divide those two words. Legalise and regulate every single drug. But that would be a completely different system. It would take very courageous politicians, and I'm not talking about a halfway house. What I'm talking about is ripping the 4th biggest industry in the world away from organised crime.
I just want to show you this clip we've got here of David Lammy talking about the issues in the justice system. Let's play it.
I made it clear in Parliament that on a paper-based system there will always be human error, and there has been a human error for all of my lifetime. Until we move to a completely digital system, I think it's impossible to rule out error. But there has been a spike. It's on a downward trajectory. There have been 12 since I made that statement.
Well, that's what the Justice Secretary thinks. He blames this paper system. But he's putting these supposedly new tough reforms, Adam. But I mean, we've got a murderer on the loose. What was a murderer doing in open prison in the first place?
Yeah.
I just can't wrap my head around that.
They wouldn't have put Lucy Connolly in an open prison, would they? But look, he's blaming a paper system. As I said earlier, the average used to be about 60 of these a year with a paper system. Why has it suddenly jumped to 262? It's pure incompetence. And that is down to the Labour government and a few years of the Tory government as well.
Peter?
Yeah, well, there's a huge problem with IT in the criminal justice system. And what happens, you see, is smart-suited, well, they don't wear suits these days, but those sharp IT types, OK, they go in to sell a system to the public service. It happens in the NHS, wherever it happens, and they have them over. They completely and utterly have them over. And what happens a lot of the time is these systems are not road-tested and designed by the people that use them every day. If you want a system for processing the paperwork for shoplifters, you should have frontline PCs road testing that IT, sitting there with the designers saying, we need it to do this, we need it to do that, we need it to do the other, and having somebody from the CPS there, so you avoid all the duplication and all that kind of stuff. But public service, they waste our money, they get had over by sharper-minded people, and so this nonsense carries on.
It's unsuitable people in the wrong jobs. That's what we've got. We've got people who have never lived a life on a council estate. They don't know what the problems are, and to be quite honest, they don't care. They're not there for us, they're there for them.
But they're very good at filling out a spreadsheet.
Oh, yeah.
or ticking a box.
Top skills. Yeah. Top skills. Right, listen, a prison service spokesperson has said this. Absconding is a serious criminal offence, and any prisoner who commits this crime could face longer behind bars. The police are working urgently to recapture these individuals, and we urge anyone with information to go to the police. All right, there you have it. That is the right of response there from the services, the relevant services. All right, well, it's time now for the Great British Giveaway, and 2026 could be on us. It's an incredible 85 grand to be won, and here is Hayley Sparks with all the details.
It's a brand new year, and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date. £85,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year the best yet. And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate. Imagine what the coming year could look like for you with a whopping £85,000 in the bank. You can have the complete Lapland experience all in one place by visiting the Northern Lights Village, or just safe in the knowledge that this year is on us. An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 9th of February 2026. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, look, the papers are coming through thick and fast. But next, coming up, Starmer says he's sorry for welcoming Alaa Abdel Fattah to the UK and admits the government made a serious mistake. We'll take a look into that after the break.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Well, you're absolutely right. Spot on. I couldn't help feeling that perhaps it was actually just a joke, and they were going to come back in 2 years' time and say, we took you all in. It was, in fact, a joke. Now we're going to produce something more serious, because it was absolutely hilarious and ridiculous. Commercial suicide, I described it as.
Well, the individual behind it is no more. What would you like to see from the brand? Presumably not people with asymmetric haircuts in pink dresses with sledgehammers doing precisely zero to do with cars.
Well, again, absolutely, you're spot on. I mean, it's just totally unrelated to cars at all. There wasn't even a car in the advert. Jaguar was built on style, and that brought passion for cars. That's what made them different. I remember many years ago, a Jaguar executive in the States saying to me, people say, I like my Mercedes, but I love my Jaguar. It's all about passion. Style engendered that. That's what we've got to have. We need to see a proper, more traditional, stylish, real Jaguar that can build on the brand and heritage of the past.
OK, Philip Paulson, I'm going to put you on the spot now. If you're in charge of the next Jaguar advert, what would it look like?
As diametrically opposite and different as it possibly could be from what they produced. I suppose, I mean, I live a little in the past, I admit, although I also think I'm hopefully realistic about the current situation and everything, the present. But I'd like to see the heritage shown. Jaguar were not afraid to talk in the past about their heritage, the Le Mans wins back in the 50s, the E-Type in the 60s. This is what added excitement and luster to the brand.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer has admitted he regrets saying he was delighted Egyptian activist Abdel Fattah had settled and returned, or as they say, returned to the UK after anti-Semitic and anti-British social media posts resurfaced.
Prime Minister of this country says he's delighted to welcome somebody back who'd expressed those views. Are you sorry you did?
Well, of course I regret that, and your point that somebody in government should have known is one I've made myself to the appropriate team.
Well, the Prime Minister told the BBC he was unaware of the comments when he welcomed Alfata's release, calling them abhorrent and admitting a serious failure by the government. However, despite calls from Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch to revoke Alfata's citizenship and deport him from the UK, the Prime Minister is still yet to comment. And I'm now joined by counter-extremism expert Sahil Ahmed. Thank you very much for joining me. Should Alfata be deported from the UK?
Honestly, my straight-up answer is yes. I think so. I don't think he should be in the UK. I don't think anyone who fundamentally hates British values, who we are, everything about the United Kingdom, he argued for genocide, essentially. He said there's a critical mass of Israelis that should be killed, then the problem will be solved.
I think he uses the word Zionist in a lot of that as a part of the guise.
There's a specific tweet that I read that he refers to Israelis as well.
Right. And there's also these tweets about British people as well. I think
he called them donkeys.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? What I don't understand about all of this is when I take a step back and I think the hundreds of hours that would have poured into this man's case, the hundreds of thousands of pounds potentially of taxpayer money that would have gone into it, the diplomats, the civil servants working it from the Home Office to the Foreign Office, how nobody, you're telling me, no one in the government was aware this was going on? How could we have missed this?
See, I don't blame the Prime Minister. No one man can know everything.
Sure.
But the European Union, in fact, the European Parliament was going to give this man a prize for freedom of thought. Can't remember what the name of the prize is. They actually revoked it for one of his tweets.
That's right.
And actually, a Liberal Democrat MEP spoke out against him in the European Parliament. So actually, this was in the public record. This was happening in the European Parliament. So the fact that no one in the machinery, that is the British kind of government, it's incredibly surprising that this fell through the cracks.
Indeed.
I'd be very angry. If I were the Prime Minister right now, I'd be demanding answers.
Yeah. Well, they're saying they're going to launch an investigation into this, but I'm always just thinking to myself, well, even the previous Foreign Secretary, James Cleverly, had actually tweeted out at Allah, at his account. So if the Foreign Secretary was tweeting and tagging his account, they must have known the account existed. And we all know a lot of these politicians, I'll bring the rest of my panel here tonight into this story as well, a lot of the politicians in Britain have their accounts run by civil servants or people they've hired. So there was an awareness somewhere around these people, Adam, about these tweets, in my opinion.
There's no way that Keir Starmer didn't know of these tweets. There's no way that government didn't know of these tweets. They hoped no one noticed. This Labour government always seems to side with the foreign, I call him scumbag. He is a scumbag. Because at the end of the day, his tweets showed racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, extremist views. This man should not be in Britain at all. And if the Prime Minister really wanted to show us, the people, that he is on our level and he understands, that man will be deported. And we need to do it quickly before Egypt revoke his citizenship. And I want to know, is Allah's family and him being funded by the taxpayer? Is he costing us money?
I highly suspect the answer is yes.
That's what we need to know.
But I'm sure we'll find out.
What I would say is that I agree with the thrust of what you're saying. I don't think he should be here. But one thing I will say is that I never attribute to malice that which could be attributed to otherwise to incompetence. I really do think that, and I've worked with a number of these people who work in these circles, and honestly, a lot of them really don't know what they're doing. Frankly.
That's scary.
There is a problem with massive incompetence in the government, as we were just talking about in the previous story, Peter. But at the same time, this kind of this level of incompetence is so shocking to the British people. They're beginning to wonder what they're paying their taxes for.
Because so many people watching or listening to this show will go, if I was that useless at work, I'd get sacked. That's what they would. But I'd like to know, he's been here over a week now. Has he applied for a job yet? Is he going through the situations vacant pages? seeing if there's a job, or has he applied for benefits yet? Building on what you said. Has he? We need answers.
He'll be on a speaking tour of Russell Group University soon. We all know this. Listen, I've been in these rooms as well. I have been in rooms with activists. I've been in rooms with people that work in government. The problem is here, it is incompetence, but it's also a willful neglect, because they don't think that hating Zionism is a problem. They think it's okay. So when they see these tweets, they would go, oh, he's just passionate, because it's a willful ignorance. And, you know, when you've been in rooms with these sorts of activists, they're very single-minded, and they will bring this stuff up constantly. This is a guy that we need to look after. We need him here. You know, he's a good guy. Yes, he said this stuff.
It's virtue signalling, isn't it? That's what it is.
It is.
So I'll come back to you on this one, because if this man of such a high profile can slip through the cracks, is there a concern from a counter-extremism perspective that many people coming to Britain today, particularly, I think, people coming over here illegally, will have similar or worse views?
I think you know the answer to that. Yes, the answer is yes. In fact, it's even worse. I'd refer to, and I've coined this term, forgive me for saying this, but I call them stealth Islamists. There are people out there who work as formally as advisors to even the police. And they present themselves as moderate Muslims like myself. And in fact, they are raging, like, hate mongers. They support violence, they support hatred, they hate everything we stand for, but they present themselves as these moderates, and they weasel their way into these kinds of positions of influence. And whenever I kind of come across them, I always go, wait a minute, I can kind of smell them, because unfortunately, I used to be an Islamist, right? An extremist. That's how I got into the counter-extremism work I do now. But I can smell them a mile away, Alex. I can smell them a mile away.
Well, Sahel, thank you so much. It's very brave of you to come here and talk about this stuff, and we want to thank you for doing so and for being such an important voice in this discourse that we're having at the moment, because this is going to continuously play itself out in Britain until we do get more people speaking up, and you're one of the brave people that's doing that. Sahel Ahmed, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Please come back again soon. A government spokesperson has said this. Mr Alfata is a British citizen. It has been a long-standing priority under successive governments to work for his release from detention and to see him reunited with his family in the UK. Abdel Fattah has also said, we're looking at the tweets now, the ones that were not completely twisted out of their meaning. I do understand how shocking and hurtful they are, and I unequivocally apologise. All right, well, coming up, a gay, gender-fluid, golden retriever, Afghan hound mix. Yep. Someone says I heard that right, I don't know. That's coming up apparently. But next, the front pages have well and truly dropped. We'll be running through them shortly. On the front page of The Sun, AJ's pledge to families of brothers. This is Alex Armstrong tonight on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello there. Temperatures above average across parts of Greece at the moment, but still some heavy showers and thunderstorms across parts of Spain. Also down towards the Canary Islands, Madeira, seeing some strong winds and showery rain too. Rain falling as snow over the mountains across parts of Spain, across into Italy as well. Further rain here around the coast. Temperatures around 12 or 13 Celsius. Something a little drier towards Greece there, and temperatures above average, and it remains so here for the next few days.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast, and it's staying cold over the next few days. Very cold tonight with widespread frost and ice and further snow in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and Amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt brighter, but a cold, icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England, down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day, we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts of Wales, down into the West Country, Northern Ireland, and also northern Scotland. So warnings remain in force for snow and ice. Temperatures really struggling, not rising much above freezing for much of the UK, some places staying below. Another very cold start on Tuesday, further snow and ice in places. A weather system bringing an organised mix of rain, sleet and snow into parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland as we head through the day. Best of the sunshine across central, southeastern parts of England, and staying cold into Wednesday as well. Perhaps becoming a little less cold as we head towards Thursday, but also wetter.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. I've got your front pages here. Should we go through them together? The Telegraph. Trump sets his sights on Greenland. Yes, interesting that, isn't it? The Independent. We are not at war, US insists as it claims control of Venezuela. The Metro. Welcome to New York and have a nice stay. I love that one. The I paper. Starmer plots course for a softer Brexit as leadership rivals circle. The Sun. AJ's pledge to families of brothers. And leading the GBnews.com website tonight, mother and teenage daughter named as victims of sea tragedy after man died trying to save them. And also, Donald Trump sets sights on Greenland as Denmark fires back with stop the threats demand and stop reform. Plotters warned plan to block Nigel Farage's march to number 10 faces 3 huge problems. Well, of course, I've got my titans on the panel tonight. Lisa McKenzie's here, Peter Blexley's here, and Adam Brooks. Could you ask for a better show, eh? What could I ask for? Shall we start with the Telegraph? Because this is an interesting story. It's circulated back from this time, almost this time last year, when Trump said he wanted Greenland, basically. He was quite public about it. He's come out again and said he wants Greenland. Peter, he said that he needs the Danish territory for defence against China and Russia and that there's loads of battleships and submarines circling the island.
Yes, I think Denmark are going to be less than pleased about the noises that Trump has made, but I think one of the real strengths of Donald Trump's presidency is the unpredictability of it all.
Yes.
He's completely taken people by surprise again and again and again, including enemies. Look at the Iran strike, for example, when he almost obliterated their nuclear power capability, and of course with Venezuela, and there's more. Greenland, I think he might make noises, as he often does, but then of course he doesn't always follow those noises up. It's all part of his presidency. Whatever Donald Trump does is transactional. Something's got to be to the benefit of him and his nation, or else he ain't going to get involved.
Adam, Donald Trump, I think Peter sort of nailed it, really. He is a president of being unpredictable, but that also has really upset his adversaries. And I don't think the Chinese delegation would have been in Venezuela the day, or basically before Trump launched that attack, had they known about it. And normally these espionage people are pretty good at figuring things out. Trump's catching everyone off guard, isn't it? Is that a strength?
They haven't gone to war with Venezuela. Let's remind people that. He's taken the president and his wife on drugs charges. The FBI and the DEA were there. This was not an army going in. This was a legal case. And the Venezuelans are celebrating around the world and in Venezuela. This is a totally different thing. He's putting it out there as a businessman that he'd like to buy Greenland, not take it over by force or anything like that. So the headline is a little bit sort of twisted here. He's a businessman, he's flexing his muscles, but nothing's going to happen here. If Denmark wanted to sell it, then he would be the buyer, but they don't. So,
well, Lisa, here's the thing, isn't it? It's actually very strategically important, given where it is and the Arctic Circle and how many Russian and Chinese. Basically, what people forget is you can go this way over the planet. You can go over that bit there, which does pose a threat to America. If the Russians, who are literally on the other side of that ice there, could easily get their submarines over to America. Is that part of the reason why Trump is so keen to get it, do you think?
Well, again, this is more complicated than it first appears, because this has been something that's been discussed for many years, and many presidents has talked about this as well. I remember talking about this last year here on GB News, and one of the things that we said is that it's not as mad as it appears. In Greenland, there has been sort of referendums in the past about Denmark's rule over Greenland. So it's not actually this sort of left field thing. It is something that's been talked about by US presidents previously. So what Trump has done is he's sort of bringing up an old subject, but because what happened between Ukraine and Russia has sort of put it back into focus again.
Yeah, it's a very interesting bit of land as well, but most of it is uninhabitable. You can't actually live in it, Peter. It is just ice. It's very cold, and it's mostly just about strategic stuff. Trump has even said there's no minerals there that we would want anyways. It's not like we want to mine the place. He just wants it basically as a big military base.
Not that Greenland and Denmark need my advice or would heed it anyway, but if I were to sit down with their leaders, I'd say, treat Donald Trump as a friend, not an enemy. You can probably make this mutually beneficial.
Yeah, there you go. I want to listen. I know I was teasing this earlier on. What do you think of this front page? I think this just genuinely cracks me up. Is it Piers Morgan or Piers Brosnan? So there's a bloke here who's gone over. I can't remember what it's to Bulgaria. So this is a Sunday Sport. He's gone to Bulgaria to get plastic surgery, and he's asked to look like Piers Brosnan, but it looks like the surgeons have been confused and picked Piers Morgan. The poor bloke must have spent thousands of pounds. I think it's kind of uncanny. I think they've done a pretty good job at him. What do you think?
Yeah.
Not your usual show tonight, is it?
He wants a refund.
Yeah, he deserves a refund there. He really does. I mean...
Yeah, that's Piers.
Piers Morgan has actually posted this, just so you know.
That is Piers Morgan, isn't it?
It does. I mean... yeah, Piers Morgan said, what a thing to make up to, Pete.
Well, the lesson is, if you're going to have plastic surgery, and I don't speak from experience here, write it down.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Look, loads more coming up in the papers very shortly. The front page of the Daily Mail saying this: the Prime Minister faces a revolt by Labour's Maduro apologists. Well. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News. That's going to be a good one.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
Look, this is winter. It's flu. Flu comes in winter. Sure as eggs is eggs. There's nothing particularly special about the virus. It has mutated, but that change has made it able to spread through the community by defeating our existing immunity. But the virus itself remains the same in terms of its clinical impact. So while it's a problem at a community and population level, lots of cases, for people who catch this, it's no worse than normal seasonal flu. It's not like we've got a supercharged flu that makes people much iller. We've got a virus that's spreading better and it's come earlier. So we're seeing it rising up the sort of infectious disease rates faster for this time of year. And there are a number of reasons for that, partly because it is a different virus, it's mutated. We haven't seen this particular strain spread for a couple of years. So population immunity levels are quite low. That's why it's
so what you said there, very calm, very rational, quite reassuring, to be honest with you, seems very logical, understandable. Earlier today, the BBC decided to do a report that looked a lot like this. Let's play the clip.
The throwback, isn't it? We were used to wearing these a few years ago. Now this is the precaution being taken. Also, people are being told to make sure their hands are clean and that they're not bringing germs into the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we haven't got time to play it all, but she goes on to, like, you know, use the hand sanitizer. Again, I'm just wondering if it's a little bit fear-mongery.
Well, look, we must take flu seriously because it's a fact that if we tot up the excess mortality in the wintertime, just in the UK, and we attribute a lot of this excess mortality to flu, in an average year, maybe 5,000–6,000 people will lose their lives to flu. And in a bad year, it might be as high as 20,000. So we don't take this lightly. We're not complacent about flu.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
We've got more front pages here for you. Let's start with the Daily Mail. The Prime Minister faces revolt by Labour's Maduro apologists. Well, well, well. We're going to be definitely digging into that one, let me tell you that for sure. The Guardian. Trump warns of big price to pay if Caracas fails to toe the line. Mirror. Jesse twins agony. The Daily Express fears Starmer is plotting a full-blown Brexit betrayal. I've been saying this for months now. The Times, Trump issues warning to Venezuela's new leader. All right, I've got my panel here with me. Should we start with that Daily Mail story? Because I'm not surprised to hear this. If any of you use social media, you might have seen some of Keir Starmer and Labour MPs' thoughts on this Maduro capturing. Apparently, Labour is tearing itself apart over it, Adam. Some of them want Keir Starmer to attack Donald Trump over the breach of, you know, their favourite thing, international law. Some of them, of course, are happy about it. I saw there was a journalist on Twitter earlier posting a screenshot of a Labour WhatsApp group, and one of the MPs had said, "Oh, Keir Starmer did a good job today, only got 5 likes." Apparently, someone whose birthday it was today also got more likes than that in this Labour WhatsApp group. So it gives you a sign of how bad it is. What do you think, Adam?
No, I think Labour is made up of various factions. And the far left are always going to be anti-Britain, anti-anything that we do. And there's people in government that are like that as well. For me, this is the most dangerous government, an anti-British government we've had in decades. I cannot wait until they're out. But it just says it all, really.
Yeah, Lisa, the Labour Party is kind of where the Tories are, in my opinion, post-Brexit. Tearing itself apart, hasn't got an ideology anymore as a party. It's split between its left and its centre-left flanks, and therefore the Prime Minister's going to find it harder and harder to govern them.
Yeah, but the Labour Party has always been like that. As the Tory Party, they've always been different.
Broad church.
Yeah, broad church. Unfortunately for Starmer, and this is where the crux is the public hate him, and that is when your politician is lost. You know, your backbenchers, you know, will probably never agree with you on certain things. Government and backbenchers are completely different things, but it's when the public hate you. And I can tell you now, I'm from the Red Wall, and we hate Starmer more than we hated Thatcher. Oof. And that is something to say.
That certainly is. Peter, what do you think?
There's an absolutely hysterical line on this front page of the Daily Mail, right? Because Labour MPs apparently warning Starmer that supporting Donald Trump's Venezuela mission would haunt his legacy. Haunt Starmer's legacy. Well, let's just look at Starmer's legacy, shall we? Incompetence, intolerance, ineffectiveness, and the list goes on.
Yeah, look, I mean, for a bit of balance here, of course, Keir Starmer's and the Labour Party and the government would say that they've inherited a mess and that they're doing their best to sort it all out and that, you know, he's got plenty of time. He said he'll be here till 2027.
His approval ratings say different.
Yeah, for a bit of balance, Keir Starmer's not here to say what an absolute idiot he is.
Thank you for filtering that one, Peter. Yeah, go on,
let's
Lisa.
be honest, these Labour MPs now, on the backbenchers will do anything rather than deal with their own constituency.
Yeah.
They will care about any tiny part of the world as long as it's not the one that they live in.
There we go. Listen, there's this, sorry, Peter, but there's this nuts clip. Just have a look at this.
Hi!
Can you tell me about your dog?
This is Honey. He is a gay, gender-fluid golden retriever Afghan hound mix.
Yes!
That other dog is me. Watching that clip going, what on earth? Honestly, it's not this mad.
These people need their hard drives checked. They are beyond help and I think quite dangerous. It's like, you know, have we got vegetarian cats? No, it's the owner saying that the cat is vegetarian. Come on.
My sister's going to be fuming. She's a dog lover. And when she sees that she'll be watching now, she's going to be fuming at that because, you know, she wants dogs to be dogs, not... What's that dog? Non-binary?
Non-binary, gender fluid.
Yeah, we don't want no...
All because, apparently, by the way, the dog likes other dogs, which I think is normal behaviour for dogs, isn't it, Peter?
Yeah. Mind you, I've had a dog once or twice take a particular liking to my leg.
Oh, right.
You know? I've been very keen on it. So you know...
What my dog's doing that. They're like 12 stone.
Yeah.
Listen, there is so much in the front pages here left to go through. Trump warning of a big price to pay for Caracas. Obviously, this is Venezuela's new leaders if they don't basically follow the line here. Dozens of mentally ill offenders gone on to kill after secret release. This is a very big story here. I'm very keen to dig into this one next too. Obviously, the Metro running with the front page, welcome to New York and have a nice day. Of course, we brought you those live images last night of President Maduro landing in New York. So much more to go on the show. We've had loads more I'll be bringing you in the next hour or so. Stay with us here on Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition. But first, it's your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast, and it's staying cold over the next few days. Very cold tonight with widespread frost and ice and further snow in places as well. A cold northerly flow across the UK Arctic air, bringing in that bitter weather across much of the UK. For this evening, temperatures already below freezing for many of us. Heavy snow showers across northern parts of Scotland and Amber Met Office warning for snow here. We could see another 20 to 30 centimetres falling through the night into tomorrow morning. Elsewhere, icy stretches, wintry showers and temperatures falling down to -5, -6 in towns and cities, perhaps even down to -10 in one or two spots in the countryside. So widespread cold start to Monday morning. A difficult commute for those setting off across northern parts of Scotland with that amber warning in force. Heavy snowfall, some strong winds as well, drifting that snow around. The central belt brighter, but a cold, icy start. Wintry showers for Northern Ireland, Northern England, down into Wales and the West Country. A few wintry showers also possible across southeast England. Elsewhere, a widespread hard frost and also some icy stretches, so take care on your commute. And then through the day, we see further snow showers, particularly across eastern parts of England and parts of Wales, down into the West Country, Northern Ireland, and also northern Scotland. So warnings remain in force for snow and ice. Temperatures really struggling, not rising much above freezing for much of the UK, some places staying below. Another very cold start on Tuesday, further snow and ice in places. A weather system bringing an August organised mix of rain, sleet and snow into parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland as we head through the day. Best of the sunshine across central, southeastern parts of England, and staying cold into Wednesday as well. Perhaps becoming a little less cold as we head towards Thursday, but also wetter.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Is it any surprise to you that Labour MPs are now revolting against the Prime Minister over his basic kind of endorsement of Donald Trump's action in Venezuela? On top of that as well, apparently Keir Starmer's looking to completely overturn Brexit, but through a soft way. He doesn't want a referendum, does he? He doesn't like the accountability of it, many would argue. Also here in The Telegraph, dozens of mentally ill offenders go on kill after secret release. What is going on in Britain's justice system? It is an absolute nightmare. All of that coming up on the late edition. I will see you in just a tick.
It's a brand new year and we're giving you the chance to win our biggest cash prize to date.
£85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
And we've come to the Aurora Collection Resort here in Lapland to celebrate.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just